to former Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama, highlighting some of his agenda for Ghana should he come as the winner of the elections. I will invite us all to listen to him, and I will join you right after that.
I will go through our 120-day social contract, the things we'll do in the first 120 days after we leave Independence Square on 7th January 2025. One, we'll put in place a robust code of conduct and standards for all government officials in line with the principles of ethical leadership, modesty, humility, integrity, and accountability. We will nominate all our cabinet ministers for parliamentary approval within the first 14 days in office. We would have named all our cabinet ministers. We will constitute the leanest and most efficient government in the history of the Fourth Republic in the first 90 days in office. We will hold a national economic dialogue to discuss the true state of the economy and prepare a homegrown fiscal consolidation program to guide the budget. Number 5, we'll commence the drafting of needed legal amendments and preparation for the implementation of the 24-hour economy policy under the office of the President. Number 6, we will establish an accelerated export development council, which I will personally chair, to promote exports as part of a broader strategy for economic transformation. Number 7, we'll convene a national consultative conference on education with CHAS, NAGRAT, NAT, CCT, NAPS, CETAG, Vice Chancellors Ghana, PRINCOF, TEWU, UTAG, PTAs, students, think tanks, academia, parents, and other stakeholders to build consensus on the improvement of our education sector, including the free SHS. Number 8, we'll scrap the following draconian taxes to alleviate hardship and ease the high cost of doing business in our first 90 days in office. 1, e-levy. 2, COVID levy. 3, betting tax. 4, emissions levy. And we'll review taxes and levies on vehicles and equipment imported into the country for industrial and agricultural purposes.
That's just a snippet of the manifesto presented by former Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama, who is, of course, looking forward to occupying for another time the presidency of Ghana. Of course, we'll also listen to this brief, introduction of the manifesto of the ruling NPP party, presented by its front runner in the person of Mahamudu Bawumia, the current vice president of Ghana. Let's listen, of course, and then I join you right after that for more analysis.
I have witnessed firsthand the enthusiasm, commitment, and determination of the rank and file of our party, the great new patriotic party, to break the 8 and usher in life-transforming ideas that will deliver broad-based prosperity to all Ghanaians. From my possibilities tour, I came across hope, expectations, and the belief that it is possible to transform Ghana and create a sense of pride in the Ghanaian. Our tradition, the Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition, has not only been the vanguard of the rule of law and governance, but also pace setters and drivers of the life-changing policies and interventions.
And of course, that's how it is happening there in Ghana as political parties and even candidates continue to move across the national territory, presenting, the agenda that they have for the country. And we come to you, Mr. KOFI, of course, looking at generally the overview of the political atmosphere of Ghana to the run-up to these presidential elections 2024, which actually is going to be decisive from what actually has been happening around Ghana. But before we take Mr. KOFI, we just want to reiterate here that Ghana has been making headlines for its remarkable economic growth, becoming the world's fastest growing economy in the year 2019 with a double growth rate. But now in 2023, the country actually faced a lot of challenges with a significant increase in the prices of goods, which sparked some sort of unrest among the youth who took to the streets, actually calling for more economic reforms that will align to signal. This actually signaled a shift in the socio-political fabric or atmosphere of Ghana. But now, to the run-up to these elections in Ghana, slated for December 7, 2024, we want to analyze the major stakes at play, and of course, what the politicians have to present to Ghanaians. It should be noted that it has always become very contentious in Africa when we look at the election maneuvering, that is the pre-election and the post-election era, and of course looking at the feasibility of political parties to meet up with the defined or designed agenda, which is usually unveiled in the manifesto, as we saw today with the Vice President of Ghana, Mahamudu Bawumia, and the former President John Dramani Mahama, unveiling in their various manifestos promising job opportunities to revamp the country's economy. And it should be noted also that Ghana's election, as maybe was done elsewhere, is holding at a critical moment. So these elections will equally shape Ghana's standing at the political or international level, and of course it will show to what extent Ghana needs to define its foreign policy standing. Mr. KOFI just joined in back. Let's come back to you, sir. We are looking at the overview of the political atmosphere of Ghana in this present dispensation of the country, preparing for this decisive and remarkable elections come December 7, 2024. Okay, we want to apologize for the interruption, but subsequently we are going to uncover and to unveil and to bring into understanding the real stakes of Ghana elections. And of course, just to note that in today's program, we want to look at how the economic stability and development of Ghana will change, as we'll be focusing on what the political parties already or political contenders underlined, the fiscal stability of Ghana. So we are looking at how this will, the measures that they would put in place to be able to attain and to materialize their political discourses. Also, we want to accentuate on the issue or the area of job creation and what scope is available for the political parties to actually exploit and ensure the connectivity or the realization of their political discourse on the social issues and governance. It's also an issue of utmost concern as the political parties in Ghana, the National Patriotic Party and the NDC, have outlined already the needs to fight corruption and ensure total accountability. It is noted that this is a common future that featured in the preamble of the manifestos of both John Dramani Mahama and the current vice president of Ghana, Mahamudu Bawumia. So these are the political discourses that we have already in play in Ghana, and of course how attainable these we're going back again to check if all is well with Mr. Kofi. If you're there now, sir, and you can hear me, you're welcome, and we're looking at what we can make of the political atmosphere of Ghana at this particular moment.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm very sorry for that line going off. I think the network. Yes, thank you for this question and this opportunity to talk about Ghana and then also the political atmosphere as we find ourselves. Currently, as you indicated, the political parties have actually launched their manifesto, and the manifesto contains the policies and programs that those political parties intend to undertake as we're going into the elections, and when they win the election and become a government, they will be able to implement these manifestos. I must say that the Ghana political atmosphere, as I've indicated, it's very high now, and all the candidates are going about doing their campaigning. The new Patriotic Party, the NDC, these are the two main political parties in Ghana that are intensifying their campaign. And I must also indicate that there has been some kind of stability where both political parties are making sure that their followers are able to understand the extent of their policies and the agenda that they want to bring on board. When you look at the ruling party, the new Patriotic Party, they are preaching more of a digitized economy and also trying to say that education is very important. Industrialization is one area that you're also looking at it. Now, when it comes to the NDC is also preaching what they call 24-hour economy. The former president, John Dramani Mahama, is indicating that Ghana should work 24/7. It means that there should be 3 shifts, work for about 8 hours. And I think that when we're able to do that, that will really help this economy. Quite apart from that, there has been issues of corruption that have been discussed at various levels within their manifestos. And I think that it's good for us. And as a country, corruption is one of the things that we need to address. So this will be my initial comment as the program progresses. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I will stay with you, Mr. Kofi. While you highlighted, pinpointed some very peculiar points which are actually recurring or occurring in both manifestos of the ruling NPP and the NDC party. I want us to revisit now, because when you listened to Vice President Bawumia when he was talking, he highlighted that there's some sort of political wrangling in the country, where he noted the fact that the opponent or the NDC party candidate has been avoiding an open or a public debate to present to the or address the electorate in Ghana. Can we say there is some sort of political contestation in Ghana into the run-up of these elections, and do you think this can have an effect already in the way the Electoral Commission is handling the process, and of course on the electorate as well?
Yeah, thank you very much. When it comes to elections organization, yeah, it's the Ghana Electoral Commission that takes care of that. But when it comes to debate, I'm not too sure they are organized. But over the period of years, I know the IE has been organizing economic forum programs, and debate is one of the areas that they organize for presidential candidate and other parliamentary aspirant. At the local level, the NCC also do some kind of debate for the parliamentary candidates, as well as maybe some elections as well. But when it comes to the issues of debate, debate became one of the tools, or let me say, one of the activities towards election that has been run around the year 2000. Those were the times then debate becomes more functional. Let me say, people were talking about debate. But in some cases, you realize that some of the presidential candidates do not take it as a matter of urgency to attend. At times when they are in power, they do not want to come to debate. In some cases, when they are in opposition, they don't want to come to debate, and that kind of thing. But currently, the vice president has been calling as you indicated, has been calling the former president to come for a debate so that he'll be able to tell Ghanaians what they have done so far. But according to the NDC, it will be better for the vice president to call the press and the media if you wanted to be debate, to tell the media what they've done so far, and Ghanaians are the best people to judge. Now, debate itself will not necessarily bring out the vote per research. I don't have the data, but looking at what debates have been done over the period of years, I'm not too sure it has brought some kind of significant impact on the people that are going to vote for them. What matters is that the work that has been done, if you are in power, you have done work, your work should be to speak for the people to retain you. If you also want to come back, the previous thing that you did, people must look at what you did and also measure your performance, and they can also say you should come back. So these are the areas that we need to look at. I'm not too sure that the debate will make any significant impact. Having said that, I have seen both political parties going door to door to do the campaign, telling Ghanaians what, if they are retained or they come back, they are going to do for the people of Ghana. And I think that that is the way we should go. For me, I'm not too much enthused about whether we're going to have a debate. But of course, I've heard that the IEA is preparing to have some debate for the two major political parties, or the aspirant, the presidential candidate of these two political parties. Absolutely. So for me, I think that we should look at the issues really, how are we able to address the issues, than looking at debate. Debate may be good, but I'm not too sure that debate will really bring some kind of impact in this election.
Absolutely, Mr. KOFI. The end result is to see that Ghanaians are actually satisfied with the leadership that will ensure integrity, transparency, accountability. Just to remind the televiewers that in the course of the program, at one moment, we are going to keep our lines open so you can be able to call and participate, and of course share your own insight of what you think about the upcoming elections in Ghana, as we continue to get the viewpoint of Mr. KOFI, who is in Ghana, giving us first-hand information on how perspectives are actually unfolding in Ghana. Let me come back to you, Mr. KOFI. Looking at the aspect of economic stability and development, we are still accentuating on these, some of the points outlined by the political contenders in their various political manifestos. So what present stakes do you think Ghana needs to consider, not only at the level of politics, but overall in the Ghana's economy, as far as economic stability and development is concerned, and you think maybe the new government should capitalize on? What are those stakes to consider?
Yeah, thank you once again. Economic stability, development is very key and it's very important. And I must also indicate that both political parties have said something on that. The NPP said they're going to focus on private sector growth, infrastructure development, and industrialization. These were one of the things that NPP has indicated. NDC has also emphasized on a social democracy-led government, and then poverty alleviation. And all these things are things that will help to, for the NDC, take out some kind of challenges or difficulties that people are going through. But the NPP, on the other hand, also looking at infrastructure. Yes, even though NDC also talk about infrastructure. But economic stability, it's very key in every growth that we want to see. Because if there's no stability in the economy, then it means that there will be a chaotic situation. So when you look at economic stability, it's very, very, very key and very important. Now, again, the NPP also say that they're going to strengthen the institutions and enforcement to make sure that the institutions that are working, they're going to make sure that they are able to work freely and work effectively. The NDC also said they are going to restore integrity and accountability into the system. They believe that there has not been much accountability in the system, so they're going to make sure that accountability is stored in this country. And also, they also talk about healthcare, education, and then water supply. These are all areas that we can say that when you're able to implement them very well, there will be an economic stability. But more interestingly, we need to look at our cedi, our currency. How are we making sure that we do not do much of importation? When it comes to Ghana, and for that matter in the Africa, we do much of importation. Recently, I read an article indicating that Ghana has banned some importation of maize, rice, and other cereal. And I think that is the way to go. We should be able to produce what we were going to eat. But we are not doing that. I remember some years back, President came as head of state, said we should grow what we eat and we should always make sure that we have what we want to grow over here. But we are not doing that. And I think that the importation is killing us because you need to change the Ghana currency into a dollar to be able to import the common commodities like sugar, maize, tomatoes, rice into this country. And I think it is not a way to go. If we continue like that, our economy will not grow. So for me, economic stability is key. And most of the people will be looking at these areas as a message that will bring hope to the people.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Mr. KOFI, you quite highlighted something very pivotal about the fact that changing from the local currency to foreign currency in order to ensure, the flexibility of business, which is already a setback. And this is, these are some of the stakes we need to consider, which brings us to the next question, because when we're looking at the election atmosphere, we'll also look at the outcome and how this will define, I said this in the preamble, how the elections will define Ghana's standing at the international level, especially in the moment of multilateralism. We quite mentioned earlier on that, due to the IMF bailout deal with Ghana, we saw some of, discontent from Ghanaians who were actually pressing the Nana Akufo administration to review some of these economic policies. So now, what do you think should be the foreign policy agenda of Ghana, or whosoever takes the helm or the baton of command in Ghana after the December 7 polls? What do you think should be the foreign policy agenda of the nation to be able to solve some of the internal problems which are orchestrated by external factors?
Yeah, thank you one more time. Recently, I had an engagement with some few ambassadors who are in Ghana, Denmark, and Netherlands, and others. And the indication I had is that the current president indicated something that Ghana beyond aid. Ghana beyond aid meaning that Ghana will not need aid, but rather we can do everything by ourselves. We can generate all the things here. But along the line, I don't know what happened. Probably maybe high expenditure and other things that have brought the economy to where we are at the moment. I quite remember when the current government, when the current vice president, his people were in opposition, all the things we're talking, it's about IMF for the previous other government, at the NDC, when we were in government, we were indicating that you're always going for IMF loan. But here we are now, we have also gone, they have also gone for IMF loan, and the loan that is being given to them is not free. You're going to pay with interest on that. So it means that if you're going to pay back, you trade in currency, CD currency. So it means you're going to pay back, you're going to pay in dollars. So you're going to change your hard money to a dollar, and that wouldn't help at all. So when you look at the foreign policies of our government, it's not only the MPP government, but previous government. It looks as if we are not getting something right. I'm not an economist, but I think that we are not able to grow what we eat in this country, and that is what is giving us this challenge. This is what is giving us this problem. Until we begin to identify ourselves with the local things that we do, until we begin to promote local.
We unfortunately we lost Mr. KOFI. Just to remind you, if you are just tuning in, you're most welcome to Global Insight this day, and particularly for you Media Africa, your Pan-African television. Today we are analyzing the stakes as Ghana prepares to go to the polls on the 7th of December 2024. What are the stakes to consider? Just to note that the parliament in Ghana is almost at 50-50 representation, and we want to look at how, of course, this is affecting some parliamentary decisions which are being taken in Ghana. And of course, we are looking at how the political discourse of main contenders, that is Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia and former Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama, how they can actually put into practice the political agenda which they have outlined. We saw that both candidates actually entered a social contract with the electorate in Ghana. How feasible in this, which of course bringing us to the problematic which has been occurring across the African continent and elsewhere, how it comes to the materialization of electoral promises after the elections are being conducted and the winner has taken over the baton of command. So these are some of the major actors or factors to consider as we continue to watch the political development in Ghana. And of course, we were talking if Mr. KOFI is there, still on the aspect of the economic stability and development, sir. What do you now propose are the specific measures that will effectively restore Ghana's economy in the wake of a recent downturn?
Hello, my line was a little bit down. If you can come back again, I didn't get a portion of what you said.
Absolutely, sir. We are still focusing on the aspect of, economic stability and development. So you highlighted quite a whole of things, which we now looked at the Ghana's standing at the global level. So in your perspective, what do you think are those, specific factors that needs to be effectively analyzed to ensure Ghana's economy is buoyant in the wake of, recent downturn that actually, caused some sort of discontent among Ghanaians?
Yeah, thank you. I have said this thing on certain platform. Let me say it again.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure whether the Western world love our country than their country. I'm not too sure the Americans love Ghana better than us. And for the Europeans, I'm not too sure that they love Africa or Ghana than their country. What it means is that we as people, and for that matter, Ghanaians, we must have what it takes, and we do have what it takes, to be able to produce our own food. Let me give you some example. Ukraine and Russia are fighting, and you are in Africa saying you are angry because some people are fighting. I don't get it. The fact of the matter, you have arable land. Why can't you, grow what you eat and, have enough food? Food security is very important. In as much as a climate person, I know climate have had effect on everything that we do, all sectors of the economy. There's the issues of climate change. I agree on that. But as people, what are we doing when it comes to issues of the daily things that we live with? Everything in Africa is being imported. Can't we do our own thing? Can't we unite and make sure that we are able to produce what we need? And that is the only way. We need to have industries. NPP indicated that they're going to have one district, one factory. What has happened to the one district, one factory? I've had the opportunity to visit some of these one district, one factories. And I must say that the story is not a good story. And I'm being honest on this. Some are doing well, but I think that we can do better. We could have done better than what we've done. And I think that this government have a very good policy, but implementation has not gone on well. So if we had every district have a factory and we are able to implement it and organize ourselves very well, we will not be in a mess as we find ourselves. Because other nations are fighting and we are getting angry. We are angry over here. We say we don't have food to eat. And it baffles me. And I think that we should look at our foreign policies very well and make sure that we are able to satisfy our citizens. We are able to cut down, expenditure. Government expenses must be able to cut them. If we're able to cut them, we can have enough money to take care of ourselves. Yeah. Let us live within our means. We are not living within our means, and that is what is causing our situation as we speak right now. So for me, I think that government might have currently both candidates are saying that they're going to cut down their ministerial appointment. Some say 60, some say going to have 50. And looking at 50 or 60, that alone wouldn't solve the problem. It's not about the number of numbers that you're going to reduce, but what they take home, what the things that they do. Even you can have 2 or 3 ministers, but at the end of the day, what did they take home in terms of payment and other allowances and other things that are being given to the state ministers? And of course, the input must make sure that it's able to get into the output. But if you're not able to do it that way, it creates a lot of problem for us in this country. So for me, I think that whilst we're looking at our international policies and how we're able to balance the trade, we must make sure that we produce enough in our country. When we're able to produce enough, we can also export. And I hear political people talk and talk and talk, but at the end of the day, they are not implementing these agendas. Is the agenda that will help us, because they are basic cardinal things. No matter what you do, you eat. So why don't you make sure you put in place things that will help you to get food to eat, and rather focus on other things that may not be necessary for us. So for me, I think we have opportunity and we can do it. And if we say we can do it, let us have the spirit of can-do spirit, and we can be able to change the scope and the status scope within the environment and the things that we see.
Absolutely, Mr. KOFI, we can do it, and now that has just brought us to the mantra of Vice President Bawumia: to lead is to solve. And you quite mentioned something which has been of utmost consideration across the political sphere of Africa, which I will appreciate if you dwell on, Mr. KOFI. The fact that you just highlighted some of the points which the NPP capitalized on during their past era of, that should be the 2020 elections. And then we are now in 2024. We still see political leaders conversing for votes as the country gets up towards elections. Let's try to understand something here. the political discourse, the pre-political discourse of political leaders, and the post-political discourse, and try to understand deeply the reason or the rationale to why it is always very difficult for most leaders to materialize or to bring to the realization some of the points outlined in their manifestos pre-election era. Hello to you, Mr. KOFI.
I'm back here. I don't know what's happening,
okay.
but I can you?
Yes, I can hear you. If you got the question, we want to understand, you quite mentioned the difficulty of political parties or political leaders to implement some of the agenda set during the era of pre-election. So I wanted us to understand, in another perspective, the rationale behind.
Some few challenges that comes through. I don't know exactly what is it. If you can hear me now.
I can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Sure. 5 on 5.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's continue.
Okay. Did you get the question, or should I take it over again?
Yeah, take it again for me, please.
Sure. Pertaining what you highlighted earlier, on which you pinpointed some of the promises of the NPP party that was during the last presidential elections in Ghana in 2020, and today we are in 2024. We still see political parties or contenders bringing forth agendas as to outlining what they have to do for the country. So the primary question is, in your own perspective, what is the rationale, behind the failure of most political leaders to bring to the materialization some of the agendas set pre-election era when they become the president, or when they take the baton of command?
Yeah, for me, I think we don't have enough data to support most of the things that we do. Mm-hmm. And for us to be able to develop very well, if you have an agenda, you have a program you need to get data, and you work along with the data. If you don't work along with the data, it becomes a challenge for us. We all went to school, the fundamentals. The fundamentals is talking about you having a particular concept and having a data that will help you to achieve the purpose from which, but once you do not have two things, either it's a deliberate attempt or we do not even know.
Yeah.
And that is how I'm going to put it, because if you know, why are you not doing it correctly? Because we talk about one district, one dam. We talk about one district, one factory. This is a very brilliant idea. And every district in this country, one way or the other, have something that God had endowed us with. So why are we not focusing on these things that we have for us to develop this resources, natural resources that we have, to be able to support our people? And I think that should be the way forward. Another thing is that the people that have been employed to work, most of the time are not experts, or let me say, they do not do the work that is being expected of them. As to whether they were just brought there by favor or something, that is also another issue that we need to look at it, because people working for government are not, to the tax. When they're working for private people, you see them working and working very well. The ex-president, President Kufuor, indicated something some time ago. He said Ghanaians are pretending to be working, and government is also pretending to be paying them. So these are the areas we need to look at it critically, because we mount political platforms and we give promises. We say so many things that we want to do. And I really do not know what is wrong with our government, in a sense that when you're in opposition, brilliant ideas, when they come to power in your first 4 years, you see them doing very well. In their next year, you see things going wayward. And I think, I don't know what is wrong with us at all. And we need to find solutions to this. The same happened to NDC when they were in power. In their other term, things were not going on well as it's been expected. Mm-hmm. Similar thing is happening to MPP. You might have done well in some sectors. And communication is also very key to our people. We don't communicate things that we do. Yeah. MPP I must say that they have failed in communicating the things that they've done to Ghanaians. Now, if they've been able to communicate effectively to the people of Ghana, I'm not too sure Bawumia will be there, struggling to have campaigning to be, telling Ghanaians to vote. I mean, the work itself will speak. In our local language, there's a saying that, your work will speak for you. And I think that should be the way for us then come and struggling to campaign for people to retain us. And I think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I have even said on several occasions that political parties should be able to come out with programs and make sure that you are able to talk to the media almost every day, every time. Tell them your agenda, we're progressing, how we are doing. Let me give a typical example. When COVID hit this country, hit all of us, the President of the Republic will come out and give statements or tell Ghanaians the position of government and the steps to take. Why did you stop that at a point in time? You should be able to tell Ghanaians how we are going. As we speak right now, you're going for election, you don't even know your left and right and the things that are happening. And I think it's unfortunate. So communication is very important in all the conversation that we are having. And once we leave the communication and the communication breaks down, then we'll find ourselves in the situations every day. Because when you go elsewhere, you see that work that have been done, we are not explaining to Ghanaians why it was so. And I think that it's not right. It will not really help us in our conversation. Thank you.
Indeed, and of course, the purpose of the program is to understand some of these stakes and discuss directly to the political parties or the those having the willpower to take decisions across Ghana to maybe try to bring about the materialization and implementation of the political agenda once at the helm of affairs. We are going back to underline the NDC's point that we saw John Dramani Mahama saying that if re-elected or if elected, beg your pardon, he will reduce the number of ministries. Is this feasible in solving some of the problems that Ghana faces at this particular moment, especially in contemporary society? And to actually accompany this question, we noted that Ghana's parliament is almost at 50-50 representation. Is there, any difficulty in terms of decision making that will lead to some sort of stagnation in some areas across the national territory?
Yes, thank you once again. Let me say this: the skeletal ministers that you're going to have, as I've indicated earlier on, will not be the changer. I don't believe in that. But government, expenditure is what we need to look at. If you have 15 ministers and at the same time you're spending high, it will still be the same thing. So government expenditure is what we need to look at. Things that are not, urgently needed are the things we need to cut down. I know everything is important, but let's look at the things that will really help us to put us into the limelight, to help us to, as we're talking about industrialization, we're talking about things that will help us. These are the areas we need to look at. How do we make sure that people have food to eat? How do we make sure that there's water available? How do we make sure there's electricity available? Yes, I must conceive and say that, yes, the current government has been able to stabilize the power supply, which is okay. But the fact of the matter is that if you're able to do that, what next? The next thing for us is to make sure that, we do not consume unnecessarily. And that is where we need to look at. And I think that will really help. When you talk of the ministerial positions or the minister that both candidates are indicating that they are going to reduce it, yes, they can do it. But when it comes to Parliament, the standing orders and the Constitution talking about having 50% or more ministers coming from Parliament. And if you ask me, I've said it somewhere that it doesn't really help. It doesn't bring accountability to our people. How can you say that the lawmaker who is supposed to be an oversight responsibility, over the executive, that same person, you are going to elect the person to become a minister. How can he, do this work by making sure that he's able to check himself? It's not possible. It is not possible at all. So if we look at that particular reform to make sure that just few ministers are being picked from parliament, and then also even at all, we don't have a member of parliament who becomes a minister. If you're an MP, you're an MP. If you're a member of parliament, you're a member of parliament. If you're a minister, you're a minister. Now, having said that, if you come to parliament, we have what we call the hung parliament in Ghana. The hung parliament indicating that they all have the same strength of number. The difference is that there's an independent member of parliament, that is the second deputy speaker of parliament, who is the changer that switch on to support the MPP, and by so doing, they have what we call the majority caucus in parliament. So they have 137, then the other have 136. So it gives indication that once you have this numbers, or let's say apart 50-50, that will bring scrutiny, serious scrutiny in terms of government agenda and government activities and government businesses. So it also delays government programs and activities, because the opposition will, one way or the other, drag their feet when bills or issues, or especially when a budget comes to parliament, instead of them to make sure that the budgets go through the system and pass through the system effectively. You see, because they also have the numbers, whether it's good or bad, may try to have some kind of argument about it and not trying to pass it. So it has its own consequences, and I think that in one way or the other, if it's checking the government, it has have its own good aspect, but in the other case, it's also delaying government programs and government activities. As I speak to you now, Parliament have to reconvene, and I've seen a statement indicating that the Speaker is calling members of Parliament to come back to Parliament somewhere next week, even though Parliament is on recess, to look at certain agenda and certain program that were not able to complete it before going on recess. But I can tell you that if not because of the hung Parliament, and we have the members passing this state programs and activities of government, I'm not too sure the Speaker, there will be a need for Speaker to reconvene Parliament again until the appropriate time that Parliament is supposed to come back to sit. So in a nutshell, I might say that when you look at Parliament, the Parliament have its own challenges. Look at
unfortunately, we lost Mr. KOFI again. Just to let us know that we can always call and participate and share our own perspectives or insight on how the electoral or the elections atmosphere is unfolding in Ghana. We continue to capitalize on the point highlighted by the front runners of the two main political parties in Ghana, one of Africa's most stable democracies. And we come back to the aspect of job creation, one of the points highlighted by the NPP frontrunner Mahamudu Bawumia, and also reiterated by John Dramani Mahama. So what scope for the young people, as reports indicate that the electorate in Ghana in this year's elections, it has actually recorded a number of young people, which is actually a great milestone, and shows to what extent young people are becoming more and more interested in the political activities or life of their respective nations. But then, what are the proposed policies that will ensure that these young people get the needed employment that they need to be able to actually bring forth their prowess and, you know, their know-how in helping to redefine the trajectory of the country, be it the political, social, or economic trajectory. I don't know if Mr. KOFI is back. So we are looking at the aspect of job creation, which has been outlined by the front runners of the elections. How can each party then ensure that their proposed policies as far as job creation is concerned will address youth unemployment, particularly in the context of the global economic climate?
Yeah, thank you so much. You can hear me now?
Sure, sir.
Yes, I've indicated somewhere that climate change, agenda in terms of fighting the impact of climate change and getting finance to work on climate-related issues can solve about 50% of Ghana's problem, and even in Africa. As we speak right now, I'm not too sure whether how many countries in Africa are able to access the climate funds, the Green Climate Fund. For Ghana, there's not even a farm manager that is supposed to take care of the farm. As we speak, I know Senegal may have one. And it will interest you to know that there will be a lot of jobs to be created when you take issues of climate change seriously. As we speak right now, climate change affects every sector of our economy. It's a developmental issue now. In the days that we say it's a scientific thing, yes, the science, people were talking about the science aspect of climate change, but as we speak right now, because it's affecting every sector of our economy, it means that it's a social issue now. So if there's a problem somewhere, once you are solving the problem, you are creating employment. Employment is about solving a problem.
Absolutely.
So if you are solving a problem, it means you are creating employment. So until we take issues of climate change without thinking that climate change is a scientific thing, but it's a social thing, it's a developmental issue, we won't be able to develop. And as a climate person who communicate on issues of climate change, I'm of opinion that government should rise to the call and make sure we are all on board to look at issues of climate change. Because climate change, I'm telling you, will be the game changer. Is a new trend that will help us to begin to solve issues that is affecting it. Because when you talk of food security, there's an element of climate change over there. When you talk of water, there's an element of climate change over there. When you talk of air pollution, there's an element of climate change over there. When you talk of our social development in general, there's an element of climate change over there. Now, you go to our forest areas where we are depleting all our forests, our water bodies, we are destroying them here and there. Let's come back to the drawing board, sit down, have a strategic plan, and look at what we can do by solving issues of climate change and also creating jobs for our youth in this country. And most of the time, we are focusing on the central government to create jobs for our youth. That is not the way to go. The way to go is to empower the private sector. Once the private sector has been empowered, they'll be able to get employment for the youth to do. Because government cannot be spending money by paying workers and staff. That way we cannot develop. So I'm of opinion that until we empower the private sector, we look at climate-related issue, because I'm saying climate because climate affects all sectors of our economy. So for me, I think that we should sit down, have a strategic plan, call for national dialogue for youth empowerment and youth employment issues, and let's come out with workable plans. And I think that that will really help us. We can do. Once we set our mind that we want to do it, trust me, we can do it.
Indeed. Indeed, it's about the willpower, and of course, still on the aspect of trying to make the atmosphere very favorable that will indirectly solve some of the problems affecting young people. Mr. Kofi, today, you know, when we're talking about the African continent, we're looking at the continent of about over 70% of its population being the youth, and to particularize on Ghana, we still look at the available scope for the young people to capitalize or to exploit, to be able to participate in the building of their respective nations. Here we come to the aspect of investment strategies. You know, while we capitalize also on the point presented by former President John Dramani Mahama, highlighting the NDC's $10 billion, because he actually mentioned that. So how might the implementation of this $10 billion big push policy attract international investment, and what potential challenge could arise, and what scope still for the young people in Ghana?
Yeah, thank you. You said it right. $10 billion to look at youth employment in this country. That is very good. That it's a laudable idea. The policy good. But my question again is that how are we doing the monitoring and evaluation?
Yeah,
it's very key. Until we are able to monitor and evaluate progress of our programs and activities, we will bring in 10,000 projects, still it will not work. And I must also say that most of the time we bring friends and political people because we are associated with them. They are in our party, they are this, and that would not help us. We are not getting the qualified people to work. Because he belongs to that political party, he's been given the work to do. Because he doesn't belong to the political party, he will not be given the work to do. That winner takes all will not help us. This country belongs to all of us. So if we have an agenda and have a program, we should make sure that every Ghanaian who is qualified, who must have the opportunity to be able to work within a sector and in a space where we have these activities and programs for us. Other than that, we'll continue to have this argument. Every 4 years, we're going to talk about youth unemployment in this country, and for that matter, even in Africa. We'll continue talking about it until we take pragmatic action to make sure that the youth are well involved. And even when we want to have the programs and activities, how well are we involving the youth to find out what they want to do? Sure. And it's another area. Because we just come on and say, oh, these are the areas we want to implement, and we just go and implement it. Probably it may not be the areas that the youth want to engage in. So we must also engage them, do the feasibility study, engage them well. And I think that will help us effectively manage youth agenda. It's in this country.
Indeed, youth agenda. I love that, Mr. Kofi, because the youth actually make up a bulk of the population across the African continent, and with the present dispensation or the global setting that is changing, it shows, of course, that Africa has a pivotal role to play. And how can we now engage the primary or the principal actors that will define Africa's agenda in years to come? That is particularly the young people, and it brings us now to the aspect of accountability and transparency. We have highlighted earlier on the social contract which these political actors, while conversing or crisscrossing the country, seeking for potential voters, they have entered a social contract with the electorate. So how can now we capitalize on the accountability and transparent, and how bringing us to the aspects of public trust in the implementation of some of these strong points which have been well defined in the pre-election era?
Yeah, thank you. You see, when you speak to most youth in this country, I'm here to find out from other countries in Africa, you realize that the youth are, I don't know their mindset. It's like they are quick to get money. They want money, quick money. And we cannot develop like that. If you want quick money, it doesn't come that way. So you realize that most youth, when it comes to political issues, you see them that the youth, trying to do more of a politics. Politics is good, no doubt about it. But they think that when you enter into politics, that's where you're going to get money, because they see the other peers who enter into politics and within a short period of time, they're able to build some few mansions and that kind of thing. But that is not the way to go. The way to go is, first of all, build the capacities of the youth in this country. We are not being able to build the capacities of the youth in this country until we build the capacities of the youth and give them some kind of, defined agenda. They will not be able to develop and take care of themselves when the need comes. So first and foremost, the capacities of the youth must be built. When able to build the capacities, we understand exactly what they want to do. You go to most of the embassies in this country, and youth all of them want to travel. People ask me, Kofi, I want to travel, I want to go, and that is not the way. Until we bring the youth, because as you said, the population, the youth makes up more percentage than the other groupings within the setup. So there's a need for us to, first of all, build their capacities, train them, let them understand exactly what they want to do, and give them that guidance. When they're able to get that guidance, we'll be able to tell these youth, and then also help them get something to do. Now, the policies that the various political parties are able to, they tell us they're going to implement them. You just see some, I might say just about 4 or 5% of it that it's working. So the question is, where did we get it wrong? We got it wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's the puzzle we need to solve ourselves. We need to come back to the drawing board. Let's have national dialogue from every sector of our economy. Let's sit down. Let's plan. Planning. We are not, when we went to school, and primary school and middle school, when we were talking about secondary school, we were talking about planning processes in terms of managerial things. These are the fundamentals that one needs to know. If you don't know this, or and you're not practicing them, then why did you go to learn them? Now, I'm very happy that the current government talked about free SHS. Yeah. That's a step in the right direction. It's very good. It's a good thing that will help the youth to be able to aspire to move on. Because if you don't have education, it becomes a very big challenge. You cannot comprehend the issues. You cannot understand global issues that are happening. Absolutely. So free education, free SHS is very good. But let's step it up. Let's make sure that it goes beyond that. Now, Mahama is talking about having free tertiary education. I mean, your level, when you're going to, give them free whatever.
And we're looking at the feasibility of all of this.
Yes. So the issue is that let us not just wake up and say, want to give people at the tertiary institution free education. No. Let us do the feasibility studies. I'm of opinion that when free SHS started in this country, one, we should have a feasibility study for a period of maybe 4 or 5 years or whatever, and then study the trend. Maybe select a few schools to start with it, and then we can progressively go about it. Others talk about progressive, others say no, we need to start. It should be inclusive and whatever. But the fact of the matter, we have what it takes to do that. If we don't have what it takes to do that, let us not bite too big that we cannot chew, but rather let's go step by step. And I think that nobody, if you do work well and it's going on well, people will praise you. You have opportunity again to serve your people. But if you do it because you give a promise that you want to do it this way and it's not working, it becomes a very big challenge, it becomes a burden on all of us. And I think that we should look at how we implement or we distinguish between political implementation of projects and also nationally how it's going to help us. Let's be able to demystify this and then draw the thin line and make sure that agenda that we bring will not necessarily be influenced politically, but rather it will be an agenda that at the long way around, it will help the people of this country, especially the youth. And that's what I have to say.
Which is quite a very imperative and insightful, Mr. KOFI. We still have a few minutes to be together, and of course, I really want to appreciate those who are locked into the program following up, and we want to look at you quite mentioned that if we have little knowledge, we will not understand the global perspectives, and to see how as a continent we can define our own agenda. And this brings us now to international relations and election financing. Sometimes we want to look at the role of external factors in how this will influence the involvement in the elections can influence the outcome of the elections, and even other aspects that will shape the Ghana in the years to come. Let's look at, a clear example of, when the Nana Akufo-Addo administration engaged with the International Monetary Fund and even Ghana's debt restructuring. How do international relationships now influence domestic policies that were making it, especially with the upcoming presidential elections? Let's look at this very peculiar aspect, which is somehow of utmost importance in the political and even economic life of Ghana.
I was trying, there was a little break in some aspects of this, so I didn't get it clear. If you can come back to the question again, I didn't get it clear.
Sure, I was looking at the international relations, the involvement of foreign parties in the life of economic, political, or social life of a country. We're taking an example of the engagement of between the Nana Akufo-Addo administration and the IMF, and how this maybe affect the country in its debt restructuring process, and also to an extent the effect on these elections which are pending.
Okay. So when you look at international relations and you look at debt structuring in Africa, and for that matter in Ghana, because we all live in a global world, we tend to associate ourselves with the global trend and things that are moving on in our country. But if you ask me, from my own perspective, I always believe that we should slow down when it comes to international support and others. The current president had it right, but I don't know where we got it wrong at a point in time in terms of saying that Ghana beyond aid. And I was very happy when I heard those things that are happening, because $1 that comes to Africa, and for that matter in Ghana, it goes back about 10 times.
Yeah.
So it means that it is still no area. But of course, we live in a global world, but we are not capitalizing on having a lot of factories, or having factories at all to manufacture things and also export to even within our neighboring country. We are not even to do that, and that is a very big challenge for us. Now, when you look at trade agreements between the EU and the US, China, and membership in maybe ECOWAS African countries, and especially when you talk of the continental free trade area.
Yeah.
We should be able to capitalize on this, and if possible, we should even have one currency, and let's work towards it. If we can start from the bloc, the regional bloc, the West Africa, East Africa, and all, we should have this currency, one currency that will strengthen our economy. And that is what leadership of this continent must be looking at. They should look at it in a very holistic manner, because it is the way to go. Even in Europe, where they are far better than us, far better, they are united and they are using one currency. Why are we in Africa having all the resources, not uniting, not getting one currency that will help us? We are not able to move. If I move from here to Ivory Coast, the barriers are too much. If I move here to Cameroon, the barriers are too much. And that is what is killing us. So until African leaders, and for that matter, Ghanaians realize that until we come together to fight the canker, the thing that is not helping us to develop, we will continue to be in the mess. So for international relations, I am very happy that at least after it's in Ghana, and we need to capitalize on it to make sure we are able to take advantage of the trade around us and developed within this scope, within this content. So,
absolutely, yeah.
So for me, I will be looking at various governments, or whether MPP is going to break the 8 or NDC is going to come back to power.
Yeah.
How are we making sure that our international relationship with international partners are well strengthened, but rather nobody takes advantage of the other, but rather we have to be vigilant. We know what we are about. I know they have so powerful, the Western world are so powerful and try to do their own thing here and there. But until we also have something strong, we are that resilient for us to be able to bargain in the activities on the global trend.
Yeah.
It will continue to be a challenge for us. So I'm just encouraging whoever becomes the next president to make sure that internationally we are able to negotiate very well. Negotiate for currently the vice president, I understand, led a group and a committee to have what we call buy gold for oil. Yeah. So countries that have oil, especially Nigeria, giving us oil and we're also giving them gold. I don't know the data, I don't know the extent as to how this development is going. And I think it's a laudable idea. I hear the NDC candidate indicating that when they come to power, they're going to investigate all these matters. And I think, it's good. Let's all have this conversation and see. At the end of the day, we have only one Ghana, we have only one Africa. Indeed. How are we making sure that we develop it to the benefit of our people and make sure that internationally, international cooperation will rather help to improve upon the economy of our country. Thank you.
Indeed, who becomes the president of a country determines a lot, not only internally, but externally, like you highlighted, Mr. KOFI. Ghana hosts the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area, a historic milestone for continental integration. And while you were talking about, the leadership in place in Ghana and how it will affect, I was actually thinking about Ghana's role in the West African bloc, and particularly looking at their reaction towards the Sahel region or Sahel countries which have decided to engage in the fight for the total sovereignty of nations. How will the outcome of the elections define Ghana's position pertaining the involvement in the Sahel region and the continental agenda as a whole? I think this question will be culminating the program already.
Yes, I believe strongly that most developed countries, and as you indicate, those international partners, so I call them, will look at Ghana depending upon who becomes the leader and or from the next government. They look at it and they free to work with you. Now, when you look at these two political parties, NPP is more of a property-owning democratic side. They believe that people must have their own business. They must have their own way of doing things, develop themselves, work in groups and that kind of thing. Whilst the NDC, Social Democrat, believe that government must help people, to develop, having social interventions and blah, blah, blah in that kind of context. So yes, the Western world will look at it from a very key interest, because I always say that the Western world always want to see what they can gain from Africa. They are not Father Christmas to just be giving things to Africa, and that is not. I'm not too sure. Yeah. But rather, they also want to look at what they will gain. But going forward, I'm of the opinion that, as I've indicated earlier on, leaders or whoever becomes the president must sit down with these partners, as I call them, the international partners, to see or put something on the table. How do we go about it? And this must also be replicated on the other leaders on the African continent, so that we have one voice in the things that we do. Example, Ghana, when we started producing cocoa, the leading producer of cocoa in the whole of the world. Now we are number 3. What happened? We got it wrong somewhere.
Sure.
Someone could say it's a poor leadership. How possible? It's not. It shouldn't be so. Even though, as we speak right now, Ghana cocoa bean is the most sweetest. Understand? You cannot get it anywhere, and that is very good. But the fact of the matter, the tons of cocoa that we produce cannot match Ivory Coast as we speak right now, and we are ahead of them so many years now. But now it is not so. So it means that we got something wrong somewhere. So I'm encouraging whoever becomes the president to make sure that the African Union should be united more. Once we are able to unite and get one voice, we are able to bargain. It shouldn't be Ghana alone bargaining. It shouldn't be Ivory Coast alone bargaining. It shouldn't be Cameroon alone bargaining. But rather, it's Africa that's at bargaining. And I think that Ghana have what it takes to be able to move this agenda. I know the likes of Gaddafi in Libya started something to make sure that Africans are able to do that, Morocco and others. But until we start backbiting among ourselves as African leaders, and until we realize that we are one people, we can never develop. Ghana can even do it, but cannot even develop on its own in this agenda. So for me, looking at our partners, it was very important for us as a leader, as Ghana, because we have a stable, political atmosphere here, and I know a lot of African countries have a lot of faith and trust in Ghana.
Ghana, absolutely,
and we can lead this discussion to make sure that whilst we are going to bargain, even if we are not putting on the unity together, whilst we are going to bargain, we should have one voice. So what Ghana is going to say, the same thing will be from Ivory Coast also saying the same thing. And I believe you mean, if you're able to do it this way, Africa becomes so powerful, and all the challenges that we are going through will become the thing of the past. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. KOFI DON-AGOR, for the great analysis on our topic for discussion. Of course, talking Ghana's elections, we identified some of the internal factors or factors that needs to be handled, and of course, Ghana's standing in Africa and how its position can help to bring a clear trajectory for Africa's agenda in the global world. To note that this is a great milestone, as a political unity of the African continent will ensure a stronger voice at the international level, and of course in international and multilateral institutions. We want to thank you so much, KOFI DON-AGOR, President, Climate Communications, Local Governance Africa, for your great insight, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure having you watch the program as we focused on Ghana this day. It is on this note that we are closing the curtains into today's edition of Global Insight, but that is not all. You can keep having a lovely moment in the company of programs on For You Media Africa, while I join you soonest for another edition of your discursive and insightful program. Bye-bye.